Hey there, Emmanuel here, and welcome to the Tech with Tourists channel. In this video, I want to go over AI agents for personal software and why I think it is one of the best use cases for using AI agents. So I've been programming for a couple of years now, more than that, I would say more around 5 or 6 years. And ever since AI agents came into the scene, there are a lot of use cases when it comes to programming itself. For programmers like me, maybe you, if you're watching this video, it is very useful for us to be more productive, to implement features, and to do our work in general. Obviously, it doesn't cover all use cases, and it's important to know when to use it and exactly how to use it. But this use case is something that I've been using more and more AI agents for, and that is personal software. This means that we have certain kinds of ways that we want to do something in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day work, and instead of trying to find software that matches exactly what we need, instead we can rely on AI agents to build that software for us, even if we are programmers or not. So the old way would be you wanted a tool that worked exactly how you think, and you had two choices: search for software that almost fits, and this usually meant like you would have certain kinds of functionality that you usually wouldn't need or want, and you had to pay more money because someone had to build those features, or you would pay money and certain kinds of features would be missing. Or then we had the second case, which would be to learn to code and build it yourself. Again, as a programmer, this usually wasn't much of a problem, but still I had to spend a lot of time building those tools, so I usually just went with the first choice, especially when it didn't mean that I was doing my job. So if I were, for example, working on a particular project and then I needed to do some marketing to send emails, I would just pay for a tool to send emails for me because I wasn't going to implement something like ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, other tools like that from scratch on my own and code all of that manually. But the reality is that both took time and both meant compromise. The new way, which is something again that I'm falling in love with completely, is using AI agents to write the code for you. You describe what you want and then the agent builds it, and the software just fits your brain. And this is the most important part of this entire idea that I want to share with you. That is, the software just fits exactly how you want to work, how you think about things, and exactly what you need. It doesn't have more, it doesn't have less. When you need to add something to it, you can also go ahead and do that. It works just perfectly. Now, one thing that you might be thinking is that, okay, I'm a programmer. In my case, maybe you are, maybe you are not, but you might be thinking, okay, certain kinds of software, they just require certain kind of experience and knowledge to build that software. And yes, there are a lot of use cases where you cannot use personal software, you cannot use AI agents for that. And that is something like, for example, banking apps. If you have something that requires security and you need to, for example, share with other people, let's say that you actually are building something not only for yourself, personal, but for others to use, then the use case doesn't really fit what we are talking about here. So software for others needs to be robust and robust rather and safe, and but software for yourself just needs to work. Especially if you're running the software inside of your machine, it doesn't connect to the internet, it doesn't need to like have any kinds of security considerations around it, then it is perfect to use an AI agent because you can just tell the AI agent what you need and it automates your workflow. So this kind of idea works by, instead of just relying on the AI agent itself to automate your work, you use the AI agent to build the automation itself. Let's say that you have some kind of project management that you want to do. Instead of relying on the agent itself to do the project management for you, you simply ask it to build the exact piece of software that you need. It doesn't need to have the perfect design, it doesn't need to have like perfect code, none of that stuff. It just needs to work. So if you think about it, you already do this outside of code. Even if you program or not, a spreadsheet, for example, that tracks your habits, a Notion page for your projects, a folder system, only you understand. So these are examples of things that you already are doing in your day-to-day life, where you don't necessarily like use these pieces of software to do your main job, to actually accomplish your job. They are not crucial, they are not a integral part of your job, but rather they are side tools that you use to help you with organizing stuff, with doing like stuff in general that is not your main job. So in this case, you're a programmer, you write code to ship for clients, for customers, and then you have these other kinds of things that you do on the side, marketing, all those kinds of things. And these are personal tools they also don't need to scale, and we don't need to take into consideration all of the usual stuff that we do when we are building software for other people. And AI agents, again, let you build the same way, but with real software. So here are a couple of examples. I already gave them, but let's go over. Beyond programming. First, project management, your own task system that fits how you think, how you work. And a good example of this is recently I've decided to build like a project management system that encompasses an MCP server, that encompasses Claude Code Skills, and then also a TUI or a CLI. And this project management personal software that I've built is perfect for what I need. First of all, it includes a time tracker that I can run inside of the terminal. I prefer to use the terminal. In your case, you might not, so you can just build something for macOS. You can just build something for Windows or for Linux. You don't need to concern yourself with the software working on different kinds of platforms and whatnot. And in my case, I have usually a problem with like I would say perfectionism and trying to do everything perfect. So I included inside of this system like a way to track when a certain kind of task is enough, it is done, so I don't need to like tweak it over and over again. And also I've decided to also have like this project management system. Basically, when I set a task as ongoing, then it deconstructs using an AI the task into simpler tasks so that I can know exactly what I need to do. I need to take this step, that step, and whatnot, instead of like having to figure out everything in my mind. Again, these are examples of features that if I wanted to implement this inside of a project management system like ClickUp or Asana, first of all, I would need to pay a lot of money. I would have a lot of features that I don't need, enterprise features like single sign-on, a bunch of different things that they have inside of their feature set that I wouldn't need to use. And then for me to be able to even implement this kind of idea of, okay, so when I mark a task as ongoing, then I need to use an AI to like deconstruct the task. I would need to implement that using their APIs. I would need to have basically add a bunch of complexity on top of it, which I would still need to know how to program to be able to implement. And I think that it would still end up being very clunky compared to what I have, which is something in the terminal, very simple to use. I could also build a macOS native app, again, not needing to concern myself with the design. So there's a lot of pros and barely no cons, besides just the upside front time that you need to spend to build these things, and then you can use them without having to pay money for them. So other examples are marketing, so scripts that post where you want, when you want. Other examples are sending campaigns, so you have a email list inside of a table. Instead of having to pay for ActiveCampaign, $50 a month, whatnot, you can just send campaigns using a like an API key, postmark if I'm not mistaken, resend, wherever, and then you can just do that, not have to pay monthly, and just have the features that you exactly that you need, not more, not less. And then content creation, also tools that match your workflow. You can also think about ideas like video creation. You can then like deconstruct a video and turn that into like short form content without having to pay for a tool. You don't even need to like log into something. You could just run that on localhost. You don't need to concern yourself with security issues, and it just works perfectly for what you need. For programming tools, I've also been using this a lot to build NeoVim plugins. So instead of, now I already understand the NeoVim API, I understand pretty much what it does and how to use it, but usually I don't want to spend time building something from scratch, so I just ask an AI agent like Claude Code. It knows very well the NeoVim API. It can also check the documentation, and it builds exactly what I need. I don't really need to think much about it. Then TUI is also perfect for my use case since I'm a programmer, and automation scripts that glue code together, that connects your tools. So it sort of like loops back into the same idea. So if I am using these AI agents, I can essentially like use them to automate stuff instead of just relying on them for the automation itself. So the point that I want to close this video with is that you don't need permission to build software for yourself. You don't need to concern yourself with the things that usually are a concern, which is true. I'm not saying that security is not a concern, that quality of code is not a concern, but those things I think are a concern when we're talking about code that we ship to someone else for others to use. In our case, we can use AI agents to build something in a fraction of the time that it would take us to build something similar. So for example, like I said, this project management system, system. I've built that in what, 30 minutes, 1 hour, and it works perfectly for my use case. Back in the day, like before AI agents, I would probably need to spend a couple of days, maybe even a week, just to figure things out, how exactly that would work, debugging things. So now I can just let the AI do its thing, and as long as it works, I'm not really concerned with the edge cases. I'm not concerned with security because this just runs inside of my machine. I'm not concerned with none of that stuff. I think that has a place within the work that I do when I'm building stuff for clients, when I'm building something that needs to be shipped. Otherwise, I think that it is perfectly like acceptable to say, okay, I just care about building this personal tool for myself very quickly, and I think it is a perfect use case for AI agents. And I think that they truly remove this barrier, because even though I am a programmer and I know how to use like do this stuff, I don't need to have a lot of knowledge, so I don't really get too much into the details when I'm building these things. I just let the AI agents do it, and I just give feedback based on what like I see, and that's it. Yeah, so I think that it is also a pretty good use case for people outside of programming. So this is it. I hope this video was helpful to you, and let me know in the comments if you've given this a try, if you've tried to use AI agents in this way to build personal software, and I'll see you on the next one.